Okay, flight number 2 on the Eachine F-16 50mm EDF jet. Alright, let's see where the wind's coming from. Alright, let's see if we can get it in the air. Alright, tone down my ailerons a bit. Still feel a little twitchy. I think I need to tone them down some more. Yeah, it's still a pretty fast roll, right? Oh, that is cool. That's pretty fast, I think, for a little 50mm EDF. I think I still may be pulling back on the reins a little too hard on the elevator. Nice roll rate. Maybe I should just increase my expo a bit on the ailerons. I don't think that is a fast roll rate. I need to dial them down a little bit more. Yeah, Eachine's going to have a hit on their hands with this jet. Oh, and after the first flight, when I landed, because I was pushing it pretty hard through the first part of the flight, I had just a hair over 3.6 volts per cell. And I don't know how long I had it in the air, because I did go around after for a second landing attempt after my timer had expired. And I'm about to get my haptic now, or about to get my timer now. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to try and bring it in from the opposite direction this time. Oh. Ah! I pulled back a little too much, got a little too fast on the landing. Man, I came in too slow on the first one, and I came in too fast on the second one, and it just wanted to float all the way to the end. I had about 25% throttle in it at the time. So, but man, what an awesome little EDF jet. I'm very impressed with this, and the launches are a piece of cake, and this is just my second. Knock the canopy off. This is just my second EDF jet I've ever had in the air, and the launches are just a piece of cake, guys. I mean, absolutely awesome. Put my canopy back on. All right, no damage. My landing skids are still on there. Absolutely fantastic. I've got to dial down the ailerons a little bit more. They still feel just a little too twitchy for me. The roll rate is still pretty darn fast. But awesome little 50mm EDF jet. I am going to have a blast with this. So, see you back at the hangar.
I'm absolutely loving this plane. And I'm getting closer with my setup. Ailerons are still a little too fast of a roll rate, I think, and I think I need to tone down the elevator a little bit too, but I'm close. I think maybe by the end of the next couple of flights I will be, if I'm not golden on the setup, it's going to be very, very close to it. But man, this thing is so darn much fun. I am absolutely having a blast. But I wanted to give you some specs on it. Sorry I didn't have time to put this together when I made the initial review video. But the wingspan is 550 millimeters, which is 21.7 inches. The length it's pretty long, you know, compared to its wingspan. 775 millimeter, 30.5 inches in length. The recommended flying weight is 480 grams. I assume that's your maximum recommended flying weight. The motor is a 2627 4500 kV, and it comes with a 30 amp speed controller. The battery that I have been flying this with is a Turnigy 3S 1300 milliamp hour 30C LIPO that weighs 106 grams. It's pretty light for that size of battery. And let me see, and it's made out of EPO foam. EPO foam is very durable. The only foam that I found more durable than EPO is EPP foam. Okay, so the weight of my airframe, once I got everything assembled, was 367 grams. Now, because of the area in which I land, if I just landed with the stock, you know, little landing plate on it, and the little nub that you have in front, that air intake would be full of sand and dirt and pebbles, and it would be going into the motor and the fan. So I had to cobble together a makeshift landing skid system. So my landing skid system, and I can't believe, you know, with the terrible landings I've had on this, 3 out of my 4 flights so far, they're still there. They're still hanging on. Now, what I made these out of were foam ping pong balls, like the little things that you get at the hobby shop, like Hobby Lobby. They're the size of a ping pong ball, but they're made out of foam. And so I cut one in half, and then I cut it in a quarter, and then I glued that to the inside of the little plastic tabs, and then I took, it looks like it's about 6 millimeter wide zip tie. I cut sections of that off. I used hot glue to attach everything. So I used the little sections of zip tie as skid shoes for the foam. And on the front, I just, you know, I took that half, and basically I cut it down, cut one of those down the center, and then cut it in half. So I've got like a half moon shape here. I had to dish it out a little bit, you know, curve it out a little bit to fit over the existing little landing nub that it had. But that keeps it off of the ground very nice. It keeps it off the ground enough that the fuselage is not going to get, you know, dinged up by the rocks, and I'm not going to get sand and dirt in the air intake. That only added 5 grams of weight to my airframe. So 367 grams without the landing skids, 372 grams with the landing skids. As I stated, the LIPO I'm using weighs 106 grams. That puts my all-up weight at 478 grams. So I'm within the 480 grams recommended maximum weight, flying weight for this plane. I assume that's a maximum flying weight. I did put it on a load meter with a fully charged battery, ran the throttle all the way up, you know, full throttle. At full throttle, this power system was pulling 28.5 amps. Has a 30 amp speed controller, so there's not a lot of overhead from what the amp draw that it was pulling and a static position at full throttle and the rating of the EFC. Now, most of these 30 amp ESCs, you know, you've probably got 35 amps for like 10 seconds or something like that. And I don't think I'm ever in at full throttle more than probably 5 or 6 seconds. So the 30 amp speed controller should handle it just fine. After 3 flights, and measuring the battery voltage after every flight, I should be able to get, with the battery that I'm using, I should be able to get 4-minute flights out of it, leaving just a little bit over 3.5 volts per cell. I don't ever want to taking my LIPOs down below 3.5 volts per cell. I don't think that's good for the LIPO. So leaving just a little bit over 3.5 volts per cell, you get 4 minutes of flight time out of this. Now, the reason that I have my timer set for 3 minutes is because if you guys watch the area that I fly in, there are people that are walking through there, they're jogging through there, they're walking their dogs through there, they're driving through there, sometimes extremely slowly. And so I may have to make 3 or 4 circuits before I can land, waiting on somebody to make it through there. So I need to have a little bit in reserve. So I put my timer at 3 minutes instead of 4 minutes, telling me I need to get it on the ground. And I had a poster ask me a question. He wanted, and I always forget to provide this information. I've thought of this several times, but I always forget about it. He asked me what altitude I'm at where I'm flying. The area in which I fly is 5,700 feet above sea level. I am over a mile above sea level where I'm flying these planes. And the reason I should have mentioned that in the past is because if you watch the performance of the planes when I'm out there flying them, if you're close to sea level, then your air density, your air pressure is going to be higher than it is where I'm flying, which means you're going to have a little more lift and your power system is going to be producing a little more thrust than what you're seeing with the planes that I fly out there at 5,700 feet above sea level. So if you're happy with the performance that you're watching with the planes when I'm out there flying them, just remember that if you're much closer to sea level, you're going to have better performance than what you see out there. So that's why it's important to put that information out there. I can't fly it quite as slowly as someone who's much closer to sea level because it's not going to produce quite as much lift as someone who's much closer to sea level. So, and it's not going to have quite as much power. So, something to keep in mind. That was a very good question that he asked. Okay, so I am absolutely having a blast with this. I have provided a setup file on our Facebook page that you can download. It's not perfect. My setup file is not perfect yet, but I knew there was a lot of people that were getting ready to throw this jet in the air. And I'm very happy with what I have right now. It's pretty close. So I went ahead and created that setup file so that anybody who wants to download it and set their jet up the same way, it should give them a very successful maiden flight. As soon as I have my setup golden, I will post it again with the updated setup file, and I'm gonna hold off on providing the model file until I have everything golden on it. Then I'll give you the model file. Right now I'm providing the setup file. It's close. It's not perfect, but you'll like it. I like it. I very much like the way it's handling, the way it's flying now. I'm just kind of fine-tuning it now. And I'm almost there. Might take 1, maybe 2 more flight sessions because I only have 4 battery packs that I can use in this plane. So usually takes me between 12 to 16 flights to get a plane perfectly set up to my satisfaction. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the air.